Welcome to the Men's Collective podcast. In this space, we keep the conversations real, inspiring, and challenging you to become the man you are destined to be. Your family needs you to be better. Your friends need you to be better. We need you to be better. We are your hosts, the Average Joes. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Men's Collective podcast. We're the Average Joes, and this is your go-to place for real men with some real talk. I'm Wayne Taylor, and tonight we've got a solid lineup for you. Joining me as always, two regulars, Jamie, Chrisso, two voices that you all know and love too well. But tonight we're also welcoming a first timer to the panel, though he's no stranger to Average Joes. He's in fact the man I co-host the Budrum Average Joes Meetup with every Monday night. Scotty, gents, welcome to the panel.
Gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hey, boys.
Look, before we dive into today's topic, a quick shout out to all the men tuning in. That is you. If you've been around and enjoying the conversation we've been giving you, you want to be a part of the movement, head over to www.averagejoes.net.au. Grab a shirt, pick up some merch, better yet, get all the details about our meetups and events happening all across the country. Catch up on all our content on Spotify, Apple and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Helps us grow this movement. Of course, massive thanks to our sponsors for making these honest, no BS conversations absolutely possible. If you're a business or individual that would like to partner with us, hit us up. We'd love to work with you. Now, let's get into it. Today's topic is part 2 of a 3-part series we're doing here called Is She the One? In part 1, we tackled this question, is she the one, from the perspective of a single man navigating towards his first marriage, first big relationship. We've covered the red flags, partner expectations, the realities of saying I do for the first time. But look, tonight we're flipping the script. We're asking the same question, is she the one, but through the lens of what we're calling the single again man. This is for you guys who've been there, done that, and now finds himself asking the same question, this time with experience and maybe a little baggage under his belt. Divorce, breakups, they can be messy, expensive, and outright exhausting. But here's the truth. It's not the end of the road. Being single again isn't a setback. In fact, it very well could be a setup for something even better, if you approach it the right way. We're diving deep into the lessons learned, challenges faced, and the clarity gained when you're deciding, once again, if she is the one. This time with the wisdom, hindsight, and all those things. So look, let's navigate love second time round. Let's get into it. Jamie, Chrisso, Scotty, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Lads, if you don't mind, I want to just touch very quickly on your current status. So Jamie, you're a divorced man with one son, and you are about to remarry for the second time, which is pretty soon. Chrisso, you've just come out of a 15-year breakup with 2 boys, and you've just recently married not too long ago, actually a couple of months. It's gone quick. And Scotty, twice divorced, and hunting down number 3 as we speak. And guys, you know myself, been married 25 years now. So look, not hell of a lot of experience in this as a second time round, but we're going to get a lot out of these guys. Gents, if you've been down this road, I'm going to ask you this simple question. It may sound as a joke, but look, you guys have been there, you've done that, you're back again. We all want to know the question. Are all women are all women the same? Jamie, we'll start with you, mate. Are all women the same?
No, I don't think so.
Scotty?
No.
Absolutely not. Because I'm very happily married the second time round, and I wasn't before then. So
Yeah.
something's different.
Well, let's go back around because it's funny because I when I normally would talk to men going through divorce and they've gone through it once, twice, or whatever, normally the conversation is, oh, mate, they're all bloody the same. So it's interesting that so far all 3 of you said that no, they're not the same. Jamie, back to you. Why aren't all women the same?
Well, some of them have more baggage than others, you know. So if I think about the relationships I had after my divorce and stuff, there was good points with every single one of them. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, different people go through different stuff, and, you know, no man goes through a divorce unscathed either. It teaches you a lot of lessons, and sometimes it's a good slap in the face on areas you can improve on. And I think that those challenges can change people either for the better or for the worse. So, you know, everyone's an individual, and I think you just need to find the things that you're looking for, the right fit for you. Because, you know, I probably came out of the divorce going, I'm going to find the perfect woman, but I don't think there is no such thing as a perfect woman. You know, there's good ones, and you know, to have that expectation of finding someone perfect is unrealistic. So that's probably one area you should steer away from. But just they're all different, and find the ones that's going to make the biggest difference for you, I reckon. So
it's all about finding the girl that's the most compatible with you too. Like,
Yep.
they're well, I believe all women are different. But if you find the right one and the compatibility is there, then, you know, you're going to bring the best out of both you and her, aren't you? So I think that's a key part. I wasn't compatible. Well, maybe it was in the earlier years, but as we grew older and more mature, definitely wasn't. The compatibility wasn't there, and maybe that's why we grew apart. But my new marriage, 100% compatibility, and guess what? It's flourishing.
He's been married 2 months already, and you can't wipe the smile off his face still. We've said it a few times. You just can't wipe the smile off
I've
his
never
face.
heard him say a bad word. He is just like, oh my
Well,
god,
yes,
she
man.
is
I
beautiful.
got lucky. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think you actually touched on something, quite well. Is also depending on when you actually met your partner too. So if you met them quite young and you grow together, it might work into a great relationship. But there are times that, when I was 22, I was looking for something different to now I'm 39. So it does actually change.
Yeah, you either grow together or grow apart.
Yeah,
Don't you?
Yep.
100%.
It's one of those things, right? Because I've said this many, many times. You guys know my story. I've been married 25 years and I'm still extremely happy within my marriage. But hearing you guys talk the way you do, it does make me think. It kind of sounds, and I'm not saying this is what you guys are saying by any means, so don't think I'm putting words in your mouth. But I do understand when exactly what you just said then, Scotty, and I've seen it firsthand with you, Chrisso, is it kind of feels like second time round. It's not even, most certainly not, it's not a write-off. If anything, it can play a massive benefit because, again, like when you're young, you're looking for certain things when you're at that age. But when you've gone through it and you're now 39, 40 and a lot more mature, you seem to look for things differently that you were looking for when you were 20. Because like I said,
100%.
I've been married 25 years. I got married at 20. Again, I would definitely choose Lisa again. I really enjoy her as my wife, but I would look differently. Like I would look for things differently. I'm not saying I wouldn't look for her or look for things that she doesn't have, but being married for so long now, I look for things differently. So guys on the second time round, which being yourselves, what are those things you look for differently second time round?
Well, for me, I was looking for someone that, like I said before, that is compatible and that has interest in who I am and loves me for who I am. Because I'm 43, 3. I don't know, 2. See, once you get older, you start forgetting how old you are.
Compatible with your memory loss, you just know you just lose.
But I'm at an age where I am who I am. Like, I'm not going to change that. So I need to find someone that's going to love me for who I am now, and not try and change me. Yes, maybe try and influence on how I behave or whatever, or some of the things that I do. But I'm me, and you either love me for me or I'm not the right guy for you. And one of the things that Selena said in her vows was that she loves me unconditionally, and what else? No, it wasn't that. It was, well, she probably did say that, but
Hope she said
no,
that.
I am. No, sorry, this is what I am. I am who I am, and I make no apologies for it. That was one of the things that she said, and she loved that about me. And to me, I loved that part of her vows, because I was like, you know what, she loves me for who I am.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think you're right, is that sometimes if you're unhappy, that can actually be an opportunity for you to go and be happy. And I think a lot of the times it's guys that hang on longer than actually what they should. Sometimes we need that break, because now the decision is made, and then it's so much easier for you to get over it, So I don't always see it as a bad thing. I think that it can be an opportunity for you to change your whole life, but it is an opportunity for you to think about what you want. And a lot of the time, that last relationship is going to show you what you want. It's going to show you what type of personality that you want, you know? Do you want someone who's serious or driven, or do you want someone who's happy and friendly and lovely, you know? You know, what values are important to you as a person? Like what, as we were talking last episode with this, is that like, what are your red flags and what are your deal breakers? Like, you know, and you can actually start to verbalize that. When, you know, my first relationship, there was no way in the world. It was just about how hot they were and,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, you know, how they're going to treat you, you know? So you're actually going to pick up the ways, like the little things, because it's not going to get, if you're seeing those things right at the start, you know it's not going to get better, because let's be honest, during that dating phase, that's pretty much the best they're going to be, you know? So you can see those things much earlier and go, well, is this the type of relationship that I want? So it's okay to grieve a relationship, but just remember that, like, have a like, think about it, and, well, in your case, Chris, think about it in 2 years' time. How happy can I be in 2 years' time if I do the work on me to make sure that I'm the type of person who wants to attract that girl who has those values, who has that, you know, personality, who is going to treat me a certain way, you know, and who is obviously attractive to you too. So,
Do you tend to tolerate less second time round? Like, going back to what you said, Chris, like, I think when you've been there, done that the first time, and now you're on the second time, right? If you go back to the first time, it's young, it's, you know, not only, you know, the relationship's young, you guys are young, everything's, you know, glory and just colourful, and it's like, oh wow, we're going to be together forever, and the big fairy tale, all that kind of stuff, right? And I think back then your mindset is, oh, you know, we're going to grow old together, and that's how it's what goes through your head. It's how you talk, right? When it comes to second time round, and what you're saying there, Chris, because I know you're referencing this to Lena on saying, hey, you know, you're unapologetic about you just being you. Do you present yourself second time round to your the one as a, look, this is me, I'm not going to change, like it or lump it, take me for who I am? Or do you still put forward in your own head of grow together, change together?
Yeah.
Or do you tolerate less?
You definitely don't have that arrogance about you. Say, hey, this is me, and that take it or leave it kind of thing. That's not the attitude you need to bring into a potential brand new relationship. You still do need to offer, hey, how can I be better? Or how, you know, what sort of guy are you attracted to? And definitely have a think about the way that you do things to, you've got to please, if you're attracted to her and you're obviously going to try and please her. So you need to know the kind of guy that she's after. And if that fits the bill, then go for it. But yeah, definitely don't bring in the arrogant, this is me, take it or leave it sort of scenario. That's definitely not going to fly.
I think though, there is also a part where you don't want to waste your time anymore either. You know, you don't want to pretend to be someone that you're not if that's not what they want. So you are more likely to walk away from that sort of stuff, because
that's a good thought, mate. Because I think when I got married at the age I did, there is that thought that enters your mind of, oh, well, look, if it doesn't work, we're young, we can, not that I ever thought that, what I'm saying, but it's easy to think that of if this doesn't work, but second time round, normally 40s, 50s, I can see what you're saying, because you're kind of telling yourself, I don't have time to this to not work again.
Yeah. But you can go too far the other way too, because there was like, you know, there was one girl that I was dating, and she got too drunk once and all the rest of it. And I just went, no, that's it, we're done. Like, and, you know, that probably was a little bit over the top. That was probably an overreaction from my part sort of thing. But, you know, so sometimes I think you can go too far of, oh, I'm not going to put up with anything. And that's a mistake, you know, as I said, is that you're not perfect, and you have to understand that those people that you're going to be dating too, they're probably on their second time round or third time round and all the rest of it, and they're not perfect either. And, you know, you're trying to make it, you just got to find what works together, so what meshes together. So,
does the confidence level within men the second time round change? And what I mean by that is, first time round, you know, you've worked on yourself, you've made yourself attractive in a way. You've ended up attracting a woman. You've convinced yourself that she's the one. So you go on this journey of however long it takes. Then you find that there's a breakup, whether it be a divorce or separation or something like that. Second time round, is there a sense of like a different approach to getting courage to do it again? Or is it does it change, or does it, because you've gone through a separation now, so there can be thoughts of, rejection, or thoughts of, well, I'm not lovable because it's obvious because she left me and things like that. Do you have to approach it differently second time around?
It depends on what actually happened, I believe. So, if you go through a pretty civil breakup, you might be able to jump back on the horse quite quick and all good to go. It might be a pretty nasty breakup, and then you need to, you go through mental, health problems and bits and pieces, and you might have to actually turn around and go, I need to work on myself before you put yourself into those relationships, so you can change yourself and then find the right, a better person, in yourself and also a partner.
Mm. I think you're right, because it depends on what happens, because, you see guys who get taken through the absolute ringer. They're not allowed to see their kids. There's stuff that's put on them and all the rest of it. And your mindset is like, how do I ever trust a woman again? And you can understand, like we've seen friends go through that sort of stuff, and you're like, how, do you actually love again and trust again after that? So, that's going to be difficult for guys who are going through that. But I think the most important thing is actually take the time for yourself. Like, don't be in a rush. Like, you do have enough time to go find someone, right? And the only thing you can control is yourself. So, get in the gym, get fit, get your mind right, work on your career. Because all your excuses are gone, aren't they? You're like, oh, I don't have time because I've got to do this with the missus, or I've got to do that, or I've got to do this, or, all the rest of it. All your excuses are gone. Just get in the gym and and just get your shit together. And I think that when you actually work on yourself and you rebuild yourself, that then it opens up way more doors than probably what you had when you're first single, because now you know who you are, but also you know what women like, and you know what you're about and what you're looking for, and you can actually go find that rather than just sort of like going, oh, I don't. Well, that's what I found. There was plenty of opportunities out there, and
I went through when I first got divorced with my first wife. I went through a pretty bad time, and I decided that was it. I'm going to put myself out there. I went on Tinder, all the dating sites and bits and pieces like that, and met other people, and it never worked out. And I was actually talking to a old friend of my dad's, and he sat me down. He went through the similar thing to I did, and he goes, you got to be happy in yourself to find a relationship. And I turned around and said, you know what, I'm going to do that. So I actually got rid of all those apps, and I sat back and I actually worked on myself, going, you know what, I want to be happy in my life. So one, for my kids, and two, then I'll seek for a companion. And literally after that, a few months later, then I met my second wife, and we were together for 7 years, and it didn't really work out as well. But that's where I'm trying to put myself in that head frame of mind. I've got to get myself in the right place to actually have a proper relationship again. So and it might take me. It might be 6 months. It might be 10 years, but I've got to make sure I'm okay and I'm happy to actually be with someone else.
Yeah, you're right when you said before that depends what the breakup was like if it was a real rough breakup or if it was civil. I mean, my breakup was very civil, and we still are very civil. Hence, and I don't know if this is the reason why, but hence why I remarried so quick. Like I think it was in under 2 years after our separation, I was remarried again. And I don't know, maybe what you said was right. If I wasn't, look, don't get me wrong, I still went through a tough time. I broke up with a long-term partner that's mother of my children. Like, it was still hard. But I didn't need too much time to realise that I was ready to find someone else. but I can see why. Like if it was a real rough breakup and you had your heart torn into pieces, it's definitely going to take a lot more time to regather yourself and find yourself again, I guess, and be ready to love again.
Because I feel bad, not bad, but I feel for the guys who have no idea. Do you know what I mean? Where
Oh,
they,
yeah.
It's not our listeners, is it?
no, or where they're just like, you know, where they're shocked that it's going to end. Like I knew my marriage was pretty much ended because I was so unhappy. You know what I mean? Like it was like a relief for me. But you know, you have seen those guys where they're just like, you know, the wife is just like, that's it, I'm out, and you're like, and they're heartbroken, and it, you know, so yeah,
And that can really mess you up.
yeah,
Because that actually happened on my first marriage, you know, and it was shock. It came as a shock.
yeah.
But then when I sat back and thought about it, then I realised that this was coming. So
Yeah. So you've looked back at yourself and saw things that you feel that you were doing wrong, and you've owned it and made yourself better and stronger from it. Is that what you're saying?
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So
In those times when you look back after a breakup, and let's talk sudden ones for a moment. So the ones that are sudden, you've come home and she's like emptied the house out, and you're going, oh, I didn't see that coming. And then you do sit, you reflect and look back, and you go, okay, now it makes sense. When it starts to make sense, do we sometimes overcompensate, or we over look into it and we end up taking more blame than what we should? Like, do you think men go, oh, yeah, no, it really was my fault. Oh, I bet that was my fault too. Oh, I'll blame myself for that. Do we do that in a way to try and cope? Or do we go the opposite way and we stay in a time of denial and go, mate, it was all her, it was her? What do we do? Is it swing one way or swing the other?
I think it all comes down to the individual, isn't it? Like some people blame, deny, and justify, and some people take the blame. And I think a healthy dose of both is the best way to look at it.
yeah,
Like people in that situation, and you know, Scotty, you probably know this better than me, but a lot of the time those guys change and try to do things that they think is actually going to help the relationship, where they might start working more, or they might start trying to help out around the house more, or they might start doing something else more. Yet in some cases that actually makes the partner less attractive to you. What they actually want, or what women want, is someone who's driven and knows what they want, and not, has a guy who's going to go somewhere and do something, not, you know, go do whatever the wife tells them to do. They want a leader, you know. So
I think you're bang on, but I think sometimes that can become the dangers of that very thing when men go through an experience of breakup or a divorce, that then they then become that overcompensating or that over needy kind of guy in maybe a way to safeguard it not happening again. And then they end up becoming, you know, call it as it is, they end up becoming like a bit of a pussy within the home, because they're like, oh, you know, I don't want to experience that again. So I'm going to, you know, do all the house chores. I'm going to go and do all this. And you end up emasculating yourself as a safeguard or a way to protect yourself from it happening again. And I think that's can be, because I've seen it many, many times, and I think sometimes that can be the major danger in it all, is that men then lose more of their identity in trying to not be lonely again. I think you bang on, mate.
and because they're trying to hang on so much that there's no separation. So they feel, you know what I mean? Like, people want something that's hard to get. If it's easy to get, you don't value it as much. You know what I mean? Like, and you think about anything with value, or like, you know, brands or anything like that. Most of the time they buy it because they're like, oh, well, that's hard to get. I've got to make a lot of money to be able. It's like a status type thing. So if you're that readily available, and if you're that readily, like, will do anything for them, then all you're doing is decreasing your value. You know?
I think you bang on, mate. And again, I think that's the dangers most men make second or third time round, is that they overdo it. And that in itself could become the most unattractive thing to a woman. Sticking on, going back to red flags and deal breakers before, you said that you had a missus that you started to date, but then she went and got drunk and you're like, no, cut it off straight away. So that was a deal breaker, right? Second time round, you know, early 40s, you want to get married again, so you're looking, you're making yourself attractive, you're putting yourself out there, and you start to date again. Are the red flags and deal breakers the same as when you were first time round, or do they change?
I think they change, and they're more like you don't want to happen to you what you hated about that first relationship. So it is literally like a trauma response or like a trigger or whatever. You're like, nah, get me away from that. You know, like that's not how I want to be treated. Like,
I think your values change as you get older. So, you know, they cross that line, then it's going to be a bit different to when you were in your 20s. I think, the red flags that I had when I was in my 20s were very different to the red flags that I have now.
Give us an example of a red flag second time round? Early 40s, second time round. What's a red flag?
I think what did I say last week? I think just someone that just doesn't have any interest in the things that I truly value in my life. Like it's a massive red flag for me. What, you don't care about the things that I value? Red flag.
I can see that because going back to when Lisa and I, we were, again, super young. I was 20, she was 19. And I think when it comes to those kind of things, there was times where, not so much that I overlooked things, but you kind of in your head tell yourself that we've got a lifetime to work it out. So I think second time round, not that I'm hoping for one, but I think second time round, I would definitely be going into a lot more wiser. But that first question that I asked, are women the same? And you all said, no, not all women are the same. So when you then do look at red flags and deal breakers second time round, when you create that list of red flags in accordance to your first relationship, when you go through and go, okay, this is what didn't work, this is what did work, this was the deal breakers, these were the red flags. When you create that checklist second time round, are you now comparing the women? Because we've all just said that not all women are the same. But the moment you have red flags second time round, are you comparing? Are you creating a comparison of, oh, you know, you're just like my ex, or
what's that super ad where it says past actions and not an indication of future? But you know what I mean? But that's really what you're doing. You're learning from your mistakes, aren't you? So I don't know whether I'd call it comparing, but I would call it definitely being more cautious. Like, I wouldn't say that they're the same. Like, yeah, I don't know, maybe comparing, but that's the way I see it, is like learning from your mistakes. You know what you don't want, and if you see it, then you've got enough guts to say it's not going to work. Like, I think that's what you have to realize. You have to value yourself enough to say, no, this relationship isn't going to work, and I'm going to be able to find someone else where it will.
okay, this question might throw us a bit then. When it comes to comparisons, in the relationship sector, we say things like, oh, you know, don't compare, you shouldn't compare. Okay, but should we? If the first time round had enough red flags to create a deal breaker that caused a separation or a divorce, right? Do you think men are entitled to compare second time round? Because obviously there were things first time round that didn't work. So do you think men are, I don't hate the word entitled, but do you think men have a free pass to compare? Because surely there's got to be some times in your head where you go, mate, I've been down that road before with my ex. I ain't doing that again, because it's the same red flags. So surely, I don't know, is it a free pass to compare second time round?
I definitely don't. I mean,
Lots of silence.
if I'm
Everyone's afraid to answer.
It's a hard one.
I guess once you find a person that you can definitely see what it's like to be in a great relationship, and then look back and compare. Yeah, sure. That's the only comparison that the comparing that I'm really doing at the moment. Just thinking, fuck, wow, this is a lot better than it was in my last relationship. You know, like there's so many things that are better. So yeah, there's comparisons there, but like, yeah, I don't generally just compare partners. Is that that's what you mean?
I guess I'm more asking like, maybe second time round, I think men are entitled to compare. Not in a way of what was better or what worse, but I think compare in a way which makes you go, okay, my exes were like this and it didn't work. So if you're giving indications that you're similar, maybe we draw the line here.
Well, that's just being smart. You're learning from the mistakes you've made, and you're entitled to do that.
Everyone's entitled to do that. Like if you're a chick and had a domestic violence relationship and a guy gets angry and like, pushes her, she should fucking walk out the door.
That's right.
Like, and if you get treated like shit as a husband, even though you work your ass off, and you want someone who's going to appreciate what you do, then you should walk out the door too. Like if that's going to happen, like you've got to have enough self-worth to go, I deserve more than this, you know? And especially if you're like, and that's why doing the work for yourself is so important, as you were saying, Scotty, before, where you're like, you know, get yourself to that situation where you do have that self-worth and that confidence, and you actually are the man that, you know, are becoming the man that you should be. Then it's so much easier for you to go, yep, this is who I am. No, it's not going to work. But, you know, doesn't mean you're a bad chick or anything. It just means that it's just not the
We're
right
not
fit.
compatible.
Correct. Yeah.
It's the benefit of having that second time around, that second chance. You get the ability to look back and reflect and compare the things that you weren't happy with in your previous relationship and look for something that you are.
I was talking to a bloke about probably 3 months ago, and his wife actually came up with this idea. And I'd never heard something like this before, but he said that it's his second marriage and it's her second marriage. So they're both in the second time round, but they're about 8 years into their second marriage. And he said his new wife said to him that there should be 10-year contracts when it comes to marriage, where both partners agree to stick it out for 10 years, but they're in totally, you've got to sit down after 10 years and you go over it all, and you both give each other the freedom to go, yeah, I think that these 10 years were great, but yeah, I'm going to move on. Or you stick around for another 10. But he reckons that 10 marriages should come in 10-year contracts. I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't know. That's good. Bit new, bit of a new concept.
We did go, I went to a intimacy, like, what do you call it, weekend or something like that. And they do it each year. They make a decision on whether they want to be together or not each year. So, which I found was kind of weird, but, you know, it's like, yeah. Because for me, it's like, if you're going to be in a relationship, you should be working together towards the same goal and working as a team. Otherwise, what's the use to be in a relationship? Like you could, if you're not working together and if you're not benefiting each other, like there is enough women out there, and for women, there's enough guys out there that you don't really need to be in a relationship, you know? So there is a reason why you do that, you know?
What's attractive the second time round that you didn't find attractive the first time round?
Again, age. I met my first wife at 26 and I met my second wife at 35. So there was definitely age, 33, sorry. But yeah, so I did have different kind of, you know, lifestyle choices, different things interest me more now than it was back then. So I think it's, yeah.
So I think when you're like super young, attractiveness is the obvious. You look at looks and you look at, you know, starting a family together. But when it comes to second time round, generally speaking, it seems to be around 40, mid-40s to 50. So the attractiveness part of it, they're not as attractive as they were when they were, you know, younger style of 20s. And you're obviously not looking at starting a family at, you know, 50 years old. So what does become attractive second time round? Is it the experience that she has in life? Is it the what? I don't know. You guys have been there. I haven't. I'm asking.
Personality is definitely more attractive than it was in your 20s. Definitely. Career. Yeah, just the personality is a big one.
Yeah. For me, it's how you treat it and how they, but attractiveness is still important. Like,
You just go for the younger ones.
yeah.
Well, a lot of older blokes do, which is surprising. You see guys get to 50 and they start to marry, well, especially if they've got a lot of money, start to marry all the 20-year-olds, and so they're still they're not obviously thinking. Maybe they are thinking of a family. They're definitely looking at looks.
But I know I was definitely going for like an age bracket. Like I wasn't like I don't want to, I don't want a 25-year-old or whatever. I was definitely like I want a mature woman. And I actually did. I was actually looking for a girl that had kids because I was like, well, I've got kids. What if I end up with a girl that doesn't have kids and then she wants more kids? And at that point, I was like, definitely don't want any more kids. And I ended up with a 37-year-old woman that's got no kids.
And now you get me telling you all the time.
But I guess and I was adamant. We did have a conversation like very early, like because when I was meeting girls at that point, I was like, I don't want I just want you to know that I don't want kids. If they didn't have kids, I was like, I don't want any more kids. So I'm just telling you now. And if that's a deal breaker for you, then sweet, we might as well stop it now. And I do remember having that conversation with Selena as well, and she was okay with it, so that was fine. But now here I am, like we're married now, and like we are talking about having kids. Like my whole perspective has changed.
Okay, this is good. Yeah, where are you going with this?
So I'm not saying that we're going to have kids, but we've talked about it a lot, and it's definitely not on the off. It's definitely not off the cards. But it's crazy how I was adamant. I was adamant that I'm not having any more kids. Like that's it. I'm done. To getting married and then wanting to give this girl her first child.
But that's also the relationship too. So I had the same thing. My first marriage, after that broke up, I turned around and said, "No, never going to have kids." And I had with my first marriage, unfortunately, my son was born up very unwell, and that would really turn around and said, "No, that's it. Don't want kids." And then when I did meet my last partner, me and her, we got together, and probably about 2 years down the track, she asked me about it, and I said, "Oh, it's something we can talk about it and discuss it." And when we got married, I think she was pregnant in the first 3 months, so it was just, so it also does come down to the relationship as well. So, I've met girls that I dated for a few months, and they asked me, in between meeting my first and second wife, do I want kids? And first up, I told them, no way. And then when I met her, after a number of years discussing it, seeing how good that she was with my sons, we talked about it, and it happened.
Yeah. So I'd say to the single second time around guys out there, definitely keep an open mind, because I had like limitations and all these set things that I was like, I want what sort of woman that I was after, and I ended up with a woman that didn't fit in that what I was after. I didn't want someone that she lives in Brisbane. I was on dating apps, so I kept my range to like where I wanted it to be, but I ended up with someone that was outside that range, and I ended up with someone without kids, and I ended up, there's all these things that I had limitations on, or I'd set my target woman or what I was trying to find, and end up finding someone even better, but was outside that range. So keep an open mind,
I think
because you never know, the one the one for you may not be in your target range. So always just have a sneaky look outside.
Yeah, sneaky look.
And
I did, and look, it happened.
and you never know too, because that person might seem like the perfect person right at the start too. So, like, don't rush into it. Like, you know what I mean? There's some crazies out there that know how to hide it at the start. So, yeah.
I think you've said something really important there, Chrisso. I think
Not me.
no, not you. No, totally just right off what you said. No, I'm joking. No, because I just come back to what he said. It's all right. I'll come back to you, mate. It's all good. No. But I think for the single again man that's out there creating that checklist or setting his boundaries or creating that perimeter of this is what I want, where I want, how I want it. I think you've hit the nail on the head in something that's massive that men do need to do second time round. Is don't confine themselves to that, because you literally found you found the one outside of all these perimeters that you set.
Yep.
And I think it makes me wonder how many men out there on this journey once again have not going to say they've missed out on the one, but have missed out on possible the one by staying too close to their, this is what I want, how I want it, when I want it, in the place I want it, this. You've proved straight out that that's not even the case.
Yep.
I wonder how many men I'll say it, how many men have missed the one purely because of that. When you're going through the dating scene again as single again men, I know we've talked about red flags and deal breakers that we have for women. What have you found that are the deal breakers and red flags for women, for men?
Just blokes that don't have their shit together.
All right, what's a bloke that's got his shit together? Let's talk of that. You look at a bloke and go, that guy has his shit together. What does that guy look like?
Oh, it's a guy that, dresses well, has a decent job, works hard, has a good outlook on life, respects his friends and family. Just a good bloke.
Doesn't drink every night, gambles away. He's
Yeah.
like all this. Yeah.
So what are the red flags other than that? Anything else?
Shit. I don't know.
Does the
Well,
unemployed
I think
write himself off?
I think it must be the same for them too. They probably don't want why they left the first relationship in the first place. They know what they want and what they don't want, and it's probably like on an individual basis,
So for a bloke putting himself out there back on the dating scene and going, I'm going to give this another crack. It failed the first time, but have another go. You're saying that the only red flags women have against men are, say, like job security, dressing well.
I think as a man what you should be, right? Which is like the provider, the protector, and the leader. So if you know where you're going and what you're doing, if you're getting fit and healthy, so you're going to be around for a long time and you can protect the family, if you got your shit together and work, that's going to be attractive.
Yep.
Second time round, and all these things happen, red flags and deal breakers, whatever you call them, when they start to pop up, do you think when they do, should men cut ties earlier or work on things longer?
Cut ties.
Yeah, I think cut ties. Ain't got no time to waste.
Ain't nobody
So-
got time for that.
Everybody got time for that.
It depends on the red flags, but like if it's something that is such a pitiful little red flag, then you might turn around and go, well, maybe look into it a little bit more. But if it turns around to say, you saw this person you're dating turn around and smack their kid and hurt someone, or went and stole something, and you go, oh no, that's wrong. Yeah, definitely cut ties. But it might be turn around going, oh, they might have had a big night out on the drink. Well, you might say, is that sort of a one-off thing, or is this a regular thing? Have a chat.
Jamie.
Yep, that's it.
Ruthless.
Well, look,
You smell like vodka, you're out.
Look, to be honest, maybe the reason why I feel so bad about it is because when we had the conversation, she was like, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that doesn't happen again. So
And you were liking that.
I did give her another chance, and it did happen again. But so I don't feel really bad about cutting it off, but I could have said, cool, just don't drink around me then. You know what I mean? Like there could have been other things, but one of the big things for me is that whether you're willing to actually make an effort for that other person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the keys to a good relationship is, you know, learning about what their needs and wants and stuff are and actually giving that person what they want, you know? You know?
You know what I mean?
Well, you are right. Like, you know, if you have a person who turns around and says they don't want you to eat, say, meat, okay, and you're a meat eater, if you don't stop that meat, well, that's eating that meat, then you know what? That's not a relationship you guys should be in. You know, if they want to be vegan or, you know, vegetarian and you want to be a carnivore and, you know, eat steak and bits and pieces, well, that's never going to work. But if she might be able to see, you know, through that and you might be able to see through her stuff and work it through. So,
I think the whole carnivore thing would be a deal breaker for me.
yeah.
Right
Oh,
off.
100%.
We're going out for dinner. Okay, let's just get us some salad. Hell no.
But
Go
then-
by yourself.
But then if you don't cut off that person, like I wouldn't have met Anna. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I think, yeah, you got to have that. You got to be prepared to walk away. Like that's how a lot of guys get in the wrong relationships in the first place, where they just put up with way too much shit because they just want to be loved.
Yep.
Yeah.
It can turn very toxic too. You know, it can be very one-sided, guy doing so much, and then just, yeah, resentment happens and can really go sideways.
The old resentment wagon, eh?
What does a single again man fear the second time round about getting into another relationship?
I think getting it wrong was one, and even now is like a big fear, where you're like, you know,
Yeah, meeting the
No,
wrong
I
person.
actually don't know because I didn't get it wrong.
Second time round, he got it right apparently.
yeah. And I think I might. I think I've got it right now too.
Yeah.
But we're not married yet, so. Well,
So lock that one in pretty soon, don't we?
yeah.
I think a big fear is, you know, getting it wrong. And also the other fear is too, if you get it wrong and you meet someone and it is wrong, are you going to be single for the rest of your life? I think that's my fear at the moment, turning around and going, well, will I be single for the rest of my life? And I've got to work on myself, you know. But yeah, if I do find someone and we're together for another 5 years, well, they'll be making me 45 then. You know, if that doesn't work out, then, you know, well, I'm going to be a 45-year-old man trying to find someone. So, you know.
Are those 5 years better spent with the wrong person or without anyone?
Well,
Yes, that's a good question.
and I think it would probably be better to actually spend it with without the wrong person. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I wonder if a lot of men rush into a second time round in order to try and not be alone.
Oh, very much so.
Definitely. I hated being alone.
So I wonder if the biggest fear second time round is it's loneliness.
And at the
Definitely a big
moment, I'm going through something fair, you know, like that at the moment. But I'm trying to make sure I'm doing things, doing stuff like AJ's, catching up with friends, focusing on my children, and also focusing on my work. And like I said, I will try to get myself better in the right frame of mind before I actually really start putting myself out there ever again.
And I think that's the key though, is learning to be okay with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because if you can get yourself to that stage where you're like, I'm okay, like whether I find someone, whether I don't, then that's so powerful. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like where you don't need anyone then, you know, you can actually, you know, and there are guys that I know that are like that and they're just like, and they love life, like, you know, and they're not lonely, you know, but they're okay being single and not having to be in a relationship. So
Well, we've talked about this before in AJ's itself about the difference between, because there is, but the difference between being lonely and being alone. Because you can be alone but enjoy your own company compared to being lonely and feeling miserable. And there's a massive difference. There are times, so I'm an extremely extroverted people person. I could have people over for dinner every night of the week, and this is where Lisa and I are like polar opposite ends of that kind of spectrum, whereas she's I wouldn't call her introverted, but she enjoys her own company and she enjoys the company of very, very minimal circles. You know, if I say, we should have people over for dinner, I put that to her in a way where I kind of hoping she's okay, so it leads to a yes. And if I can get a yes, I then push for more people. I'm like, we should have, so-and-so. And she's like, yeah, well, we're free Saturday. All right, well, how about we also ask so-and-so? It's like, no, can we just do two? And I'm like, okay. But it's not because she just enjoys being alone, and she's never lonely. I could honestly say Lisa has never been lonely, but I know she also enjoys being alone. If you're on the second time round and you've met someone and you are saying to yourself, I honestly believe I found the one. When you've made the decision and you're like, this is the one, yep, but you need to compromise something about yourself to lock it in. What would you be prepared to compromise? What would you let go of first?
Geez, you're asking all the tough
That's
questions.
a hard one, yeah.
Put it this way. She loves me to bitch. She wants to say yes, but she wants me to quit. What?
I don't think that's it's fair. That's not someone that wants to change something about you. I don't think that's it's not the one.
I've got
Anything
nothing.
else?
I don't know. I'm really struggling with this question. So
It just depends on whether it helps me become the person I actually want to be. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we do things just out of habit or just because you do that sort of stuff. But you don't want to be that type of person. So, but if it's something that you genuinely enjoy and it's not hurting you or the relationship, then, and she wants you to stop it, then that's probably like control, isn't it? It's like, yeah.
I guess it could be control. I guess if she puts it to you and says, hey, we could be a forever thing if you just gave up this one thing.
Depends on what it would be.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What would it be in your own personal life? Let's just say Anna, for example. Anna came to you and said, listen, I'm prepared to move forward in this, which she is, right? But she said, but there's just this one thing that you just got to really change this, let go of this, quit this, or introduce this. Where would you compromise? To what point? What would it be? It's a hard one. I know it's a toughie. You've actually got an answer. You just don't want to say.
My daddy mind came into play there, and I was like, no, I can't. So no, but like I would give up drinking, but I wouldn't give up meat. You know what I mean? So
That's a good one.
yeah.
You give up drinking, but you wouldn't give up meat.
No.
Yeah, I think. If I needed to give up, because you guys, I'm not a big drinker now, so I think it would have its challenges to it, but I could do it. Giving up meat though, I gave up meat for 8 months about 4 years ago. I was a different man. Actually, I'm not going to say man. I was a different human. I wasn't a man. I'll tell you that. I was less of a man.
Why not? You just leveled down.
Now I eat nothing but meat. So I'm back at it though. So I'm back on it. Scotty, what would you give up?
Oh,
What would you change? What would you bring in?
I really don't know. It's a real hard question to ask, especially me being single now. Like I don't know.
So you met
Like,
this
I
woman.
I seriously.
Well, let's play the scenario out. You come to AJ's and meet up on a Monday night and you go, Wayno, I've met this woman. We've been going at it for a month now. I think she's the one. I go, mate, lock it in. This is fantastic. So happy for you. Yeah, just this one thing she wants me to. And you don't know if you could do it. What would it be? Okay.
I'm seriously drawing. I really don't know. Like I don't know what, because at the end of the day, if I met the person and they see who I am. If we've known each other for a month, you know, they're going to sort of hopefully know me. And then if I thought they're that right person, then they've accepted me who I am.
Yep.
You know, if it's something that I'm hiding, that's a bit different. So if I, you know, have things that she doesn't know and then maybe find out about it, and then she asks me to, you know, stop those, yeah, okay, that might be something definitely there. But if it's something that she knows this is who I am, like for me, I like to have a beer. You know, if she turns around and says, you know, I need you to, you know, fully quit drinking, and it'll be going, okay, so is there a reason why? And if it is something that simple and that's what I have to do, yeah, I will. And, you know, my last wife turned around and she asked me to quit drinking, and I really stepped it back a fair bit. And, you know, she asked me to stop for a whole month, and I did that. And but I just enjoy having I enjoy having a drink. It relaxes me, and I enjoy it. But, you know, unless there's some reason why she can give me why I have to stop it. So if, you know, just say, for instance, I went to the doctor and the doctor turned around and said, you need to stop, you know, doing you know, drinking because you know, you've got liver disease or something like that. You know, and she goes, no, I need you to stop drinking. That's how we're going to stay together. Yeah, okay, no worries. But unless you can give me a real reason why,
Yeah.
it'll be.
But like, if you're only in it for a month and they're already trying to change you,
That's it.
Yeah.
like,
Well,
far
what's showing
out,
that,
mate.
exactly.
Well, here's the thing. The reason I asked this question is because we all said at the start that, okay, second time round, you're given a lot of time, a lot of free time to reflect, not only on what didn't work first time around, but reflect on yourself as a man, right? To gain back an identity or to find an identity, to work on yourself and change yourself, right? So we do that, and we set goals, and, you know, it's a lot of the time it's weight loss, it's, you know, change your approach in life. You might get a different job, but there's a lot of work that you put on yourself to go, right, I want to be attractive again to another female, but I'm going through a great time where I can reflect on me. But what I'm picking up is that we do that to a point until we draw the line and go, no, I've worked on myself enough. I've changed enough that if there's now another thing you want done, it ain't happening. So, but
Selena made me pull my nose ring out. That's what she did, and I did.
hey, I'm grateful for it. I actually forgot you had one.
Yeah,
Good work, Selena.
I got it done when I was working on myself. So I had it
You
done.
got a nose ring when you're working on yourself.
Yeah, you know, in that period, it's in
Hey, I've got a
between,
mullet.
the in between period. But yeah, she, well, her excuse was we went to the races, and she was with some of her work colleagues and stuff like that. And she said, "How about we just take it out for today?" And it never went back in. So yeah, that's what I compromised my nose ring. Oh, I liked it, mate.
There you
There
go.
you
Just make you pull your teeth out at all. Chris has a story about his teeth, but
It's for another day.
another day. Well, here's the thing. I'm picking up that we draw a line as change, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think sometimes, if not all the time, but I think there needs to come a point where a man goes, I've identified a lot within myself to make the changes within myself, to present myself as this man. If this man isn't attractive, then I think the compatibility isn't there. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think, if anything, men need to go through that time to reflect, to bring about change and to better themselves. But I do think, one, I don't think you have to draw the line to say, I'm never going to change again. But I do think you need to stand your ground in who you are as a man, as an individual, to go, no, well, this is me. If it's not attractive to you, it's not attractive. And I think that draws the line in what's compatible and what's not. But I think the dangers in that, again, is that men then draw that line and it's in concrete, and they go, no, I've changed myself to a point where I'll never change again. I think that's the danger, because I think we're always going to be in that process of changing, because like what we do here within HAs itself is it's always about becoming better men. In saying that, when you're on that journey of changing, and she brings something up and says, hey, we could be forward, but it's just this one thing, there's a danger in that too of blocking out an outside opinion, because there are a lot of things outside opinions have truth to them that we don't see as men. You know, like a simple nose ring. You were quite comfortable enough to go to a high-end race meeting with it in, and you had confidence in it. You're like, no, this is me. But it took an outside opinion to go, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. She just wanted me to look more. of how she viewed me. Like she viewed me as a businessman. Like she viewed me as this, super, I don't know, successful kind of guy. And she's like, pull the nose ring out, mate. We're like, what are you doing? And now I look back on it and I'm like, oh, maybe she was right.
Well, there you go. And this is what I'm trying to say. Outside opinions, especially from the ones that we're trying to attract, although we better ourselves to a point, the outside opinions sometimes help.
Yeah, you're right. You're actually right.
I still think though that but you should stand your ground.
That's a superficial thing. Like,
Yeah.
a nose ring. Yeah, cool. I'll pull
It's
it out.
it's not like a massive thing.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, small things like that, cool.
Yeah.
But not major personality things like that. That's pushing the boundaries.
But also like other things that like if something's hurting them or triggering them or something like that, and it's not a big thing for you, then you should you want to make your partner happy, or you want to, you know what I mean? Like it's.
I know what you mean.
Can't stop saying it.
Speaking of outside opinions, right? Single again man is out there and he thinks he's found the one. Should that single again man be more open to friends and family's input on what he thinks he's found as the one?
100%. I found that a lot of my friends and family, after with both relationships, it all came out. Oh, we saw this at the start and bits and pieces like that. Or even and I've actually talked to my parents about this, and I said, next time if I do meet someone and they think something's wrong, talk to me first. Talk to me, don't sit there and let it wait until it gets further and further down, and then I start getting the blinkers on. Better to come and tell me. So I think now if I had a friend come up saying, mate, are you really sure? I really would take their opinion a lot more stronger than I did probably back when I was younger. Back when I was younger, when I first met me, your first wife, if someone came up said to me, oh mate, are you really sure you're doing the right thing, and really have a look at it and bits and pieces, I would have turned around and said, mate, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, if I had that happen with, say, if I meet someone else, I really would actually go, okay, do they have, solid ground to actually, say this kind of stuff, and would take that into consideration.
We had a guy come on Monday night. Actually, yeah, you were there, Scotty. We had a guy come Monday night, and we got to the conversation of he just gone through was going through a divorce now, or just come out of it. I think his marriage lasted 8 years, and he was saying to me that on his wedding day, his best man, who's his best mate, I
remember him. Yeah, he's a good bloke.
Come up to him and he said, literally his best man on the wedding day said, mate, you've got one more chance to go, and if I was you, I'd do it. Don't do this. He's like, no, we'll be right. He said he pushed it through for 8 years, and then he's come back to his mate and he's like, mate, you were right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
look, something I want to say though is that when it is right, it's actually not that hard. Do you know what I mean? The chick is into you just as much as you're into them. And it isn't that hard. And I think a lot of the guys second time out there are like trying to chase the hottest girl that they can get or whatever. And you have to realize that people like people for I hate this saying who they are, but like some chicks like big bulky dudes. Some chicks like, CrossFit dudes, like that send it.
With nose rings.
Yeah. Some chicks like laid back dudes. Some chicks like you got to understand, just like some guys are into girls with big bottoms and some guys are into girls with that are tiny, like you have to understand that if a chick is into you, she'll be into you. So it doesn't have to be that hard. I think a lot of the time we try to keep the girl that's just after attention as well. Like, just go find someone that wants to be with you. Because if you get on the dating apps and stuff like that, there is attention seekers out there that they just want to have 50 guys like messaging them, telling them how beautiful they are and get an ego trip, and then but they don't. They're only using you. Like, just go find someone who actually wants to be with you. Like, it doesn't have to be hard.
Do you think the single again man that's out there thinking he's found love again? Because we marry for, well, I'm not going to say we marry for love. We marry for a few other things other than love, but we're seeking love. Do you think the single again man that's out there and thinks he's found love? Do you think the definition of love changes second time
round? Yes. I think, I mean, from my perspective, I understand what love is more the second time around. I think the word love gets thrown around a little bit when you're younger, and I think as you get older and more mature, you definitely understand the meaning better, and more so when you've actually felt what real love is. And unfortunately, I never felt it until I found my round two.
So not so much the definition of love changed for you. I think the real definition, maybe you could say, or the revelation of love, saying you didn't experience first time round. So maybe it was always there, but you've experienced it for the first time. So maybe it wasn't so much the definition itself changed. It was, what would you say? What's the word I'm looking for? You're experiencing it, or I don't know. The revelation of it, it was revealed to you what love actually is.
Well, what is love, Wayne? Tell me. Is it a feeling?
Interesting. Well,
Are we getting into a song here?
what is love? I think when you go down the path of love, I think you open up a very, very big can of worms. I'll tell you why. There are so many different definitions of love. I love coffee, but I love coffee different to the way I love my kids. I love my kids differently to the way I love my wife. I've also given you 3 examples right there. I also love basketball. So I go, my love towards my wife is an intimate style of love, which is different to the love I have towards my kids. My kids is a protective style love. It's a supportive style love. It's not an intimate style love. It has intimate facets to it, but it's not intimate the way I share intimacy with my wife. That again is different to how I love coffee. So when we use the English word love, I think the way we use it, I think we need different words. See, I think the word love, I may get this wrong, but I think its original context comes from Greek words, which is agape philia, I think. Is there agape something or other, where they all stem from different style things. So we use the word love in English. Oh, God, I love coffee. Oh, you know what, honey, I really love you. And, oh, good on you, mate, love you. I've just, those 3 examples, I've used the same word, 3 entirely different meanings. So I think when you are in a relationship and you experience love, you're definitely talking about a style of intimacy, but you're also talking, maybe the love within a relationship covers all facets.
Well, I think that a woman's currency is intimacy. This is because, she controls the intimacy. And when the relationship's in trouble, what's the first thing that goes away? It's intimacy. Yep. So that's not saying that's all they've got to give, but that's their currency. And you think about when you first start dating someone, the intimacy is quite high, right? I think it's different for a man though. I think you come back to that protector, provider, leader sort of thing, where you're like, you want to be a better man. And I think that's the same for your kids. And I think it's the same for your wife, You'd probably die for your kids, but you'd also die for the one that you love too. Like, in essence, that's what a man would do. They would stop bad people coming in and hurting your family. Like, do you know what I mean? So I think, as a guy, if you are the type of person who wants to be that guy, who wants to protect and provide and lead their family, that's why I think you should, be proud about who you are and actually have that self-worth and go, what you're offering is huge. It's not, the sex is great for us and all the rest of it, but like if you truly love someone, you'll put your life on the line for them. And that's, so I think, like actually value what you're offering to that next relationship, and don't just think it's nothing, because when guys love, they love really, really hard. Like I've seen so many guys take longer to get over relationships than women. So
especially when you tie into what you've just said, because I think you're bang on, mate, when it comes to being in an intimate relationship with somebody. As a man, you are prepared to die for that. You are prepared to lay your life down. So when you go through a breakup, it's a big part of your heart that you lost, because you're disconnecting from somebody that you were prepared to die for. That's massive. Hence why I think a lot of guys second time round are a lot more cautious. So when it comes time for the single again man on his second time round, and he creates a set of expectations that he's wanting out of a relationship and wanting out of the person in that relationship, second time round, should he voice those expectations a lot more second time round?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Verbally voice them like, hey, I'm going into this again. If you are the one, I'm just making it clear. Like, do you think it should be a verbal thing?
Yeah.
I want to sit down and voice actually my expectations out of this.
And I tell you, I don't think and even when you voice it, I don't think they think you're serious. Like they're like, oh, we'll change them. Like, but I think guys are actually pretty open, going, cool, this is what I want. And they don't really change, over that relationship. So, yeah.
I think it's probably a good practice actually for a new couple actually to get to, especially if they've both, have come into a second relationship, to actually sit down and actually discuss it. Because you might find out right there and then you guys ain't going to be anywhere compatible. And you both move on.
When it comes to sex, right? Do you think second time round, when you're deciding if this person's the one, or let's just call it starting out, you're at the start out of a relationship on what you think could possibly be the one, how important does sex play in that scenario? Is it something that you second time round would hold off a lot longer or dive into a lot quicker? Scotty's been single for so long, he just wants to dive right into it super quick.
It sort of depends on the person you meet, but like, I've met, when I was a lot younger, I met people that we, jumped in the sack that night. And then I've met people that we held off for a few weeks. I have to admit, I couldn't tell you right now what actually happened between my first wife and second wife. If I couldn't tell you how long it took. I think for even both of them, we actually sort of waited because we went out on dates first, and then I think a little bit down the track it happened, but I couldn't. Yeah.
Let's just create another scenario. Then you meet someone this weekend, you really hit it off. She's a great chick. Next weekend, you invite her out for another date. She says, yep. And you start to pick up some really good feelings again. You know what? I think count my lucky stars. I think I've finally found the one. How long then would you go,
Mate, you fall quick. I'll tell you what. We've been on one date. I'll tell you what, you're the one.
I just got this text message. I think it's her.
She hasn't texted me today. What's wrong with you? Oh.
I don't think it matters. Like, if it's on, it's on. If you...
Well, it's the most intimate thing you can do physically with a woman.
Yeah.
So is it something that you prolong as a, I'm just going to play this out for a bit longer?
Flow, mate.
Or you don't think it gives off a wrong vibe to a chick that if it's like...
I don't think so. When it's on, it's on.
I think if they're like ripping your clothes off as soon as they come around, like that's a bit of a red flag, because they're probably sleeping with everyone, and that's not the type of girl that I want, So,
but then if you're going, I think this is the one, so I'm going to put the pressure on. Would that be a red flag to her to go, oh my God, we've only been We've been
You
on
don't-
3 dates and all of a
You
sudden
don't have to
he's-
put the pressure. It just happens.
Yeah, you're going to
I
say
can't-
a lot of the times it's spent. Yeah, it just does happen.
Yeah.
You know, you guys, you might go down for dinner and then go out for a walk on the beach and then find yourselves back at one of each other's houses watching a movie, and it happens. And
Yeah.
you might have the same scenario and it doesn't happen.
What you want is they can't resist.
Yeah.
That would be the,
I think it's a good thing. It just
Yeah.
means that both you are into each other, and it's a good start.
Yeah. And if the sex is good, then it's even better start.
Let's bring it to a close, lads. Let's wrap it up with one final thought. The guy out there that's on his second time round, he's contemplating, one, whether he should hit the dating scene again, or second scenario, he's on the dating scene and he thinks he's found the one. What would you tell that guy?
Work on yourself and hit the dating scene and get out there and
That's what I'm saying. So the scenario, the guy is contemplating whether, you know what, I'm going to do it again, or I'm in it and I think I've found a. What do you tell him?
well, is he in it or not? Is he not in it? I don't know.
Well, actually, no, sorry, you were right the first time there. So the guy that's not on it,
In
give
it?
him the confidence to get in it.
Yeah.
And the guy
Go
that's
do
in
it.
it, what advice would you give him?
Look at the actions in the relationship, and if you're happy, then go for it. Like, yeah, that's everyone deserves to be happy. Like it is that simple. So if you're happy, move forward, and if you're not happy, put the brakes on and either become happy or find someone who will.
Scotty, what would you tell that guy?
If he's feeling it, you know, go for it. What's worst case scenario? In a month's time, he doesn't see it still, then walk away. But, you know, enjoy life.
Keep an open mind. Give that random girl a crack. Just because she doesn't fit the parameters that you've set on yourself doesn't mean she's not the one, because it could be the one that got away.
Could be.
100%.
I think you're bang on. I think one thing or two before we close, I think one of the big things I'll get out of tonight was don't do it in order to cure loneliness. Because I think then you emasculate yourself massively if you're out there if you step back from being the man you are and you try and combat loneliness by trying to fill a void with that, I think you're on the wrong path.
I think one last thing is also just don't not do anything, because regret sucks. Like, it's so much better than you get rejected or something doesn't work, or you actually have a crack, because regret you can't do anything about. So, I think what you said,
Agreed.
have a crack.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you joining me again on the panel. Once again, Scotty, thanks for your first time, mate.
Thank
Really
you.
great, mate. Chrisso, Jamie, thanks again, boys. Really, really good.
Thanks, boys.
Gentlemen, thanks for joining us here at the Men's Collective podcast with the Average Joes. Like we say every week, make sure you hit up the website, find out where all the meetups are, get along, reach out to us, send us a message. I'll be the one responding, so look, message in. But once again, thanks for joining me, lads. Enjoy the rest of your week.